Gentlemen and female gentlemen, welcome to a brand new video on Taku. Today, we are doing a lore dive on Islam's connections to Jeffrey Epstein. All right, we've done a lot of the Jew connections. All right, we've done deep dives everywhere, but I feel like this fits the lore channel better. All right, let's see what this is all about. But first, we have to see what our internet Muslims were talking about in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. So first, we have Andrew Tate. All right, here's a black pill. The evil Jeffrey Epstein lived his life with near unlimited financial excess and luxury. He was connected to the world's most powerful people, giving him a deep understanding and control over the world's realities. He lived to moderately old age and is now immortalized in internet culture via memeing. 99.9% of you will never achieve even one of those things. You'll never be rich or important or immortalized. He beat you in every single metric. You lost to a scumbag. All right, so that's Andrew Tate making the worst tweet of all time. So the way I view winning in life is emulating God, having children, bringing God's light into the world. That's winning. All right, winning isn't the infinite rape of children. That's my nuclear take. But then again, Andrew Tate converted to Islam. If Epstein was around 1400 years ago, he might have been a prophet. But this is pretty crazy. This is an insane take. Now, this was tweeted by Sneeko, of all people. Sneeko also had quite the interesting moment on his stream. This is from 10 hours ago. He's eating pork. He also converted to Islam, bro. He also and by the way, he is also pro-child marriage, all right? So here we have another guy that's pro-child marriage, all right? He is. I'm not even exaggerating. He literally did. And this is him eating pork on stream. All right, you have people in chat. Is the steak halal, brother Sneak? No way. Bro eating cock? Pork?
Not my stuff.
Pork? Oh, boy.
Stop. Don't put that back.
I didn't think about it. Right, he's a Muslim, right?
So
Is it pork?
Is it pork, guys?
Right there, yep.
Oh my god, spare ribs are, baby back ribs are pork.
I can hear you now, can you hear me?
Oh no, I have to make believe I'm spitting something out even though
I
I
sure
swallowed
can,
it.
brother. Yeah, I just found out I just almost had pork by accident.
Almost had pork.
I thought it was beef ribs. It's baby back ribs.
Oh. Unbelievable levels of coping happening over there. Yeah, so let me make something clear. First of all, he did eat it. He didn't also almost eat it. That's 1. 2, he touched it. 3, and this is the best part of all. Sneeko, and this is actually hilarious for those of you that are unaware, is clearly doesn't care about halal, right? Because meat needs to be halal. Even if this was beef, it would need to be halal. So even if he thought it was beef, he still purchased something that's not halal. To make it clear. All right, so anyway, so that's Sneeko, fake Muslim for clout, obviously, doing his thing, like anybody. But I wanted to do this. I thought this was interesting because I didn't really see a lot of people talking about it. This is the Cyberpunk Dingo. He's a ex-Muslim YouTuber, and he wanted to talk about this. So this is interesting.
With the release of the recent Epstein files, there's been this weird trend.
Oh boy. Oh my. Oh boy.
Among Muslims online. This rather smug narrative is this idea
The
that
Epstein files is the proof why the world needs Islam. Mega cope, bro.
Jeffrey Epstein is a Western problem, a byproduct of secular degeneracy.
Yeah, I think very likely. I think that's probably right. The Muslims are probably right about that.
Claim that this would have never happened if America was run by Sharia.
But that is not true because child marriage is literally legal across the Muslim world. So while I do think it's Western like atheism and degeneracy that promoted this shit, I do think that it's still illegal, as opposed to in certain other countries where it's legal.
That no Muslims were in these files. Odd, considering Muhammad was in fact Epstein of his time, and he's the prophet of the religion. But beyond that, as you do with many things to debunk Islamic apologists, all you need to look at are hard facts. And that's exactly what I did. And what I found was a calculated, multi-year mission by the world's most notorious predator to buy sovereign immunity from the very leaders who claim to be at the moral heart of the Islamic world. The reality is that Epstein didn't fear the Islamic world. He saw it as his ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. Let's rewind back to late 2016.
Oh my god, dude. Bro is thinking if I ever get caught for raping kids, I can always just go to Yemen. I can go to Yemen, where they'll hail me as a prophet. That's crazy.
Jeffrey Epstein did something very unusual for a man of his status. Usually, Epstein traveled with an entourage, so his assistants, masseuses, or famous friends. But in November 2016, he actually piloted his private Gulfstream G550 alone from Paris to Riyadh. Now,
weird.
why was he alone? I didn't realize he was a pilot, to be honest. Well, the reason was because this trip to Saudi Arabia wasn't a social visit. This was a mission of extreme confidentiality. Look at the timing. It's late 2016. Donald Trump has just won the presidency. In Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS as you know him, is rapidly consolidating power and preparing to sideline the old guard and launch his Vision 2030. Epstein was positioning himself as a shadow diplomat. He knew the new Saudi leadership was desperate for a direct line to the Trump administration that didn't go through the standard, stuffy State Department channels.
Yeah, ironically, he was trying to get Trump not elected.
Epstein was the guy for the job. He knew the circle and he was offering himself as a back-channel fixer. Think about the leverage he was building here. He was offering access to the new center of global power. And in return, he wanted something only a king could give: total protection. And that's exactly what he got. When he returned to New York, he had a lavish gift from MBS, a traditional Bedouin tent, complete with ornate carpets. Side note, if you enjoyed the video and the channel so far, please remember to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This channel is entirely fan supported, so if you want to support the work and the mission behind it, consider joining Patreon and becoming part of that. That's what keeps the channel alive, lets me do more of this, and it also gets you early access, longer and uncensored videos, written articles, and access to member-only chats. In Gulf diplomacy, a tent is
definitely subscribe for daily lore here also, but yeah, link in the description, of course.
Some massive souvenir. It is a massive cultural signifier. It is the host extending the dahala, which is the traditional right of protection. It was the prince effectively saying, "You are one of us now. You, Mr. Epstein, are under my roof."
Oh, good.
Epstein even kept a framed portrait of MBS in his New York City mansion.
No, that's bad, dude. No.
You might have seen it before. Not exactly a photo Muslims who've been spreading their propaganda recently I mentioned earlier want others to see. Every high-profile guest who walked into Epstein's apartment saw that photo. It was a signal to every prosecutor and politician in America that he was now untouchable because the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia had his back. So how deep did this protection go? When the FBI finally raided Epstein's safe in 2019, they found something that changed the entire narrative. They found an expired Austrian passport. It had Epstein's photo, but a fake.
See, that's one of the reasons why, like, so many people say that no, he wasn't an intelligence agent of any sort. No, of course not. What do you mean? He was just a random rich guy that was perverted. Bro had like 100 passports. And I think they had different names on all of them too, right? Where's the name? Brown, right? Mr. Brown. All right, Mr. Brown. No, that's his eye color. Where's his Mariu Robert? Really, bro?
Name and the place of residence listed on that official government document, Saudi Arabia. Now, this passport wasn't new. It dated back to the 1980s. This tells us that Epstein had been prepping a Saudi escape hatch for 14 years. He had been cultivating the shadow diplomat persona since he was at Bear Stearns. He knew that if the walls ever truly closed in, he could vanish into Riyadh. Because in a monarchy like Saudi Arabia, there is no...
And also, I mean, like, listen, they would accept you with open arms. Like, what are they going to be like? Oh, no, marrying a child. It's beyond our religion. No, like, that is... You literally picked the best place to run away to. Like, as far as, like, pedophiles go, like, that's the way, you know?
A rule of law that can override the will of the king. If the royal court says you are a guest, no Western extradition treaty in the world is going to pull you out of there. I believe this is what Andrew Tate had been trying as well when he converted to Islam and started courting some of these Gulf states.
Oh my god, that's why Andrew Tate converted to Islam when they found him to be like an alleged sex trafficker? He converted to Islam so he can get like the protection order? No way, dude!
So is this the Sharia protection Muslim apologists talk about? It's certainly not protection from predators. It's a fortress for them, provided they can offer the regime enough geopolitical leverage. While Saudi Arabia was the muscle and the sanctuary, the United Arab Emirates or the UAE was the operational laboratory. Epstein needed a way to move assets and buy property without his name, a convicted sex offender triggering red flags. Enter Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman of DP World and one of the most powerful figures in the Dubai ruling family's inner circle. Unsealed emails show that Epstein and Sulayem
they were besties! This is terrifying.
Weren't simple acquaintances. They were working on a level of coordination that is frankly terrifying. When Epstein wanted to buy Great St. James Island in the US Virgin Islands for $22.5 million, he didn't use his own name.
Someone in my chat keeps asking me why the guy that's making this video keeps wearing a mask. It's because he's an ex-Muslim. You must not be familiar with Islam. If you leave Islam, they kill you. You might not be aware. That's probably why he's wearing a mask.
So, instead, he used Suleim's name as a front. He led the sellers to believe they were dealing with an illustrious Emirati billionaire. Suleim was willing to lend his name and his prestige to a child trafficker to help him expand his island empire. And in exchange, Epstein was the UAE's Washington fixer. He coordinated handshakes with the Trump administration during the 2017 inauguration. He brokered meetings between Suleim and people like Steve Bannon. He was essentially...
That's crazy! I had no idea his connections were this deep with, like, the Islamic leader guys.
Actually an unregistered foreign...
This dude knew everyone! This dude knew everyone! It's crazy how obvious this guy was a psyop. That, like, the people that are still saying, oh, well, there's no evidence that he was some sort of intelligence... Oh, what are we talking about, dude? This dude knew everyone!
Asian, helping the UAE buy influence in the America First movement, while they provided him with corporate masks he needed to hide his criminal enterprise. Now, as you know, whatever a political movement might be, governments have been pretty adamant in retracting or even hiding critical information like the Epstein files from ordinary people. And lately, many governments all over the world have been going after people for the wrong opinions as well. That's exactly why I use Proton VPN and why I think you should take tracking and often. It's about that information. Suleim himself was talking to Epstein about this.
Bro, is Epstein, like, are they getting Quran quotes? Some time ago you asked me, does the Quran say don't take Jews and Christians as friends?
Including answering questions about that infamous Quran verse, where Muslims aren't allowed to take Christians and Jews as friends. During that discussion, Epstein even tells Suleim, all I know for sure is that you are one of my most trusted friends in every sense of the word. You have never let me down, not once, not half of once, and I greatly appreciate the time we spend together.
Glowing praise! Well, why is no one calling this out? Why is no one talking about this? This is insane! This is 2013. By the way, Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedophile in 2008. All right? Like, it's almost like after he was a convicted pedophile, then he made friends with all the Muslim leaders. Oh my god.
But perhaps the worst part is when Suleim signs off by saying, I am off to sample a fresh 100% female Russian on my yacht. Now,
100% female, bro? What could he have meant by this?
What were apologists saying about Islam not allowing this again? Epstein's obsession with Islam and the Middle East goes beyond making these connections. This is the kiswa. It's the gold embroidered black cloth that covers the Kaaba in Mecca. It is, according to Muslims,
yeah, I heard about that. He got pieces from it.
The most sacred fabric on earth. It is touched by millions of pilgrims who believe it carries the blessings of their prayers.
And probably diseases. I mean, just statistically.
In early 2017, just like how he touched minors, Epstein wanted to touch this fabric too. Not a thread or a tiny piece, but large fragments of it. The unsealed DOJ files reveal a detailed logistical operation in February and March 2017 to ship 3 distinct pieces of the kiswa to Epstein.
That's crazy.
The operation was facilitated by a UAE-based businesswoman named Aziza Al-Ahmadi and a Saudi contact named Abdullah Al-Mari. They shipped 3 pieces, one from the inner sanctum of the Kaaba, one from the outer used covering, and a third unused fragment.
That's
to get them
insane.
past customs and religious authorities, they labeled the shipment as artwork from Saudi Arabia. They flew them via British Airways to Florida, eventually reaching Epstein's island. Look at the language Al-Ahmadi used in her emails to Epstein's staff. She told him this fabric had absorbed the prayers and tears of 10 million Muslims.
Oh my
she spoke
God,
about
dude.
it with a reverence that borders on worship. And what did Epstein do with it? Witnesses and investigative leads.
Bro, the woke Jews are diabolical for this one. I'm not gonna lie. These people are insane. This is the craziest shit in the universe.
From his Zorro Ranch in
Bro,
New
the Kaaba is in Epstein's files, bro.
Mexico and in his Manhattan townhouse say that Epstein didn't treat these blessed fabrics with respect. He didn't put them in a museum or a glass display. He used the fragments of the kiswa as rugs and carpets.
Oh my god! Well, bro was walking on them.
was literally walking in his dirty shoes on the prayers and tears of 10 million Muslims.
Holy
You've got
shit.
to pause and think about the psychological profile of a man who does that.
Bro's
He didn't
a
only want
psycho.
the fabric, he wanted to stand
That's
on top of the
crazy.
most sacred symbol of 1 billion people. It was the ultimate power trip. The bigger irony
Yeah, he
is,
was
the
a psycho.
Saudis, or the guardians of the two holy mosques, they are the ones who handed it to him. They gave the fabric of the Kaaba to a man they knew was a sexual predator, just so they could have a back channel to the White House. Epstein's engagement with the
crazy.
Middle East went
Dude, the betrayal to the Arab world is actually insane. That's crazy.
beyond luxury and relics. He was also trying to engineer their financial future. He knew these royals were desperate for financial autonomy. They wanted a way to move money that the US Treasury couldn't track or freeze. Epstein pitched a concept called the Sharif dollar. The idea was to create a regional currency backed by the GCC that used religious identity as a source of market trust, much like In God We Trust on the US dollar, but framed as a sovereign-backed internal dollar for the Muslim world. And he went further. In a DOJ email from October 13, 2016, he pitched a digital Sharia currency. He claimed to be working with the founders of Bitcoin to modify blockchain technology so it would strictly adhere to the prohibition of usury.
Oh my god, they wanted to make Islamic Bitcoin. Dude, this dude was deep with everyone.
Beyond the insanity, it's crazy to me that he actually knew who the creators of Bitcoin were. Now, Jeffrey Epstein used the term Sharia compliant as what investigators call a cerebral lure. He knew that if he framed his financial schemes in the language of Islamic law, the royal advisors would see him as a visionary genius rather than a high-level con man. Remember how I said he even hired tutors to teach him the Quran and Islamic jurisprudence? This wasn't because he believed in any of it, but because he wanted to be able to manipulate these men.
I mean, like, he was either a hardcore atheist or he was a hardcore Satanist. Yeah, he was ethnically Jewish, but he was clearly not religious in any way, right? You didn't see him wearing, like, the yarmulke or whatever, the kippah. Like, this dude, he hated religious Jews. He just, you know, was a big fan of specifically woke Jews. He was a friend of communist woke Jews. All right, it's crazy. It's actually crazy.
Using their own scripture. He was mapping these elite families, even sending DNA testing kits to his contacts in the UAE to study their genealogy. It's pure, calculated eugenicist sociopathy. He was treating the entire Middle East as a lab for his theories on human breeding and sovereign power. So the idea that Islam or Sharia provides a moral shield against men like Epstein is a total fairy tale. It's hilarious someone would think that, especially considering the history of Islam and Muhammad himself. And Jeffrey Epstein found a home in the Islamic world. He exploited the GCC's desire for global prestige and financial autonomy to build a fortress for himself. He proved that, for the right price, even the guardians of Islam would let a monster walk on the fabric of Islam's holiest structure.
That was crazy. I had no idea that the connections were this deep. But yeah, anyway, that was a really good video. That was a really good video. Ultimately, as far as the shit goes, Epstein was connected to fucking everybody. And it's pretty obvious at this point he is some sort of actual intelligence agent that is pushing leftist ideology throughout the world. And it's insane. Him and his weird cult of anti-goyim, you know? It's crazy. It's absolute insanity. Holy crap. Yeah, that was a really good video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for being here. Daily lore here on Taku. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, man.